we have Explore the Trades materials in 15% of public school districts in the country, which is just over 2,000 districts. So we want to continue to pump out those materials. So that's one way. But then again, in your community, if there's a way that you can partner with a school, like be that resource for them, because I think what's happening at the schools, they're starting to figure out that not everybody's meant for college.
Today's episode is powered by Rilla Voice.
Rilla has taken those cumbersome, time-consuming ride-alongs and streamlined the entire process by leveraging AI technology to do dozens or hundreds of ride-alongs virtually every single day.
They also provide you, the owner or manager, with the top performers KPI metrics designed easily for you to coach your team into rock stars.
Schedule a demo today at www.rilla.com.
Yo, Joshua, really fast. I want to talk about online scheduling for the trades and how they should be affordable, effective, and easy to manage. Let's take a really quick second here to share a little bit about the latest group of experts that we've teamed up with, Autobot.ai. Our team of industry experts has developed a best-in-class scheduling app that seamlessly integrates with your CRM. Every booked job goes directly into your software and becomes one of our advanced marketing analytics, which is really cool. We can automatically select the marketing campaign of your choice based on how the customer came to your site.
Yeah, Tersh, those industry-leading analytics tells you everything that you're going to want to know about your lead, where they came from, what they did before scheduling, and what page they converted on, plus other things. On average, about 75% of people who start a booking with our app complete it, but we'll give you a more granular reporting that shows conversion rates based on marketing source and medium to help improve your marketing efforts.
So honestly, with no contracts, affordable monthly rates, and you really don't have anything to lose. And so it's a great program to try out. And if you use SBM, when you go to sign up for it, you'll actually save $1,500 on the setup fees. So honestly, give it a shot. Tell us what you think.
If you're a contractor with multiple CSRs, check out this Service Business Mastery podcast partner, Lace.ai. Lace uses cutting-edge AI to analyze your phone calls, uncover lost revenue opportunities, and empower your CSRs to convert more leads. You can significantly increase revenue without spending extra on marketing or hiring by using Lace.ai to boost your conversion rates. For the first time, you can gain deep insights into customer needs at scale with minimal effort. Elevate your call center to achieve industry-leading booking rates and revenue. Visit www.lace.ai to book a demo today. Now back to the show.
We are here with Kate. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're at the Nexstar Event, a super meeting. We got to meet you last year at super meeting, and this year we're a little bit more prepared. The event itself, to me, this is only day one, I think.
Today is day one.
I mean, it's going up. I mean, it's even better than it was last year. And last year I was really surprised and excited in a good way about the event. And because I personally am not a Nexstar member, so I haven't come to a super meeting. So it's been one of those things where I didn't know what to expect last year. And that's kind of why we were not quite as prepared. This year we're a lot more prepared.
Okay, so Tersh says prepared. So I get to he picks me up at the airport yesterday. He has his book bag, which has got a bunch of gear in it, which is sitting on the table behind the camera right now. He's got probably a 50 or 60 pound hard case. And then he's got a small hard case that feels like there was a brick in it.
Oh, the 70.
And that's just his gear. That doesn't even include the shoes that you guys see when you guys see this stuff. The suits, that's a whole separate suitcase. He literally tells me, so when we're leaving tomorrow to go to a different event, and he's like, you're traveling with some of this stuff. Because he's carrying like 4 bags around the airport. But Kate, well, it's great to have you back. We had a great conversation last year. Could you do a quick introduction on yourself again?
Sure.
There you are.
Kate Cinnamo, Executive Director of Explore the Trades. And Explore the Trades is a nonprofit organization, a sister organization to Nexstar. And our focus is to bridge that technical talent gap to the service trades of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. So a lot of the work that we do is focused on setting up for success all of the students, kindergarten through 12th grade, teach them about the trades and provide them that awareness. So by the time they graduate high school, if they don't pursue the trades, they have a very good understanding of how important these careers are.
Can you explain to us how this works as far as so I'm a contractor. I want to support in any kind of way? Like, why are you talking to me versus talking to school counselors? Like, why are we, like, explain to me how I can help with this.
Sure, absolutely. I think that's a great question. So we have two sides of the coin. We have contractors, and we also talk to those in education, because I think from what we've all realized is, in order for this to happen, in order for the movement to grow, everyone has to be connected. So it's definitely education and industry partnership. I think for the contractor side, we know that there's a labor shortage. We've heard about it for years. It's only going to keep going. And I think that for contractors to understand their position in the market as the industry expert, and how can I, benefit the school and my community with, I have the knowledge, I have equipment, I have a space that I can provide to them. And what a great way to market your business, right? I mean,
yes, absolutely.
You're going to talk to
get
those
first dibs at the new blood that's coming on the market.
Absolutely. So it all ties together, and I think the more contractors start to understand that and dedicate time to that, I think it's a win-win for
it's
everybody.
so easy for us as contractors to say, oh, there's a labor shortage. There's a labor shortage. Like, no good talent is coming. Let's complain about the high schools taking the trades out of the high school, taking shop class out. But on the other hand, you have a program like this that, all right, let's put your money where your mouth's at. Like,
right.
let's
Absolutely.
step up and let's say, okay, I'm going to do something about this.
Right.
Yes, we all understand that they're for years, there's been a focus on the schools pushing students towards college. And if that's your path, like that's truly where you belong, then I don't want you to be pushed towards the trades either. Like, I don't want it to turn in a completely different direction where, like, now all the schools are pushing only people to the trades. Right. But I wholeheartedly believe that we've done damage to our youth by telling them that they have to go to college when they're not a college prep material,
Sure, or they're not interested.
They're not interested,
right.
But they just go there because I've personally have heard of counselors and teachers who have said, just go in there and then figure things out while you're there. Like, figure out if you like college while you're there.
Yeah, be $150,000 in debt.
That's an expensive.
That's a very expensive lesson.
The thing about it is, to me, it's almost like they're getting commission from the colleges. The way it feels.
Well, it's funny because, like, you think of like an 18-year-old, they can't get a $150,000 business loan.
Right. It's a challenge.
But we can put them in debt at college and have a political science degree that they have.
What am I going to do with it? Yeah.
Or a liberal arts degree. Yeah. It's like, what am I going to do with this? There's no actual experience. And then they get, they're 22 years old and they have all this debt and they have no decent job history.
And then they find out that they like the trades.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my
They don't want to sit in a classroom or at a desk.
Right.
Well, that's my story, is the fact that I went to college, so I was fortunate enough to be able to take college classes my junior and senior year of high school. And because Georgia Tech was right there, it was the G-Truck program. So I got to go to Georgia Tech junior and senior year of high school for free. No tuition. I just had to buy books. And so then, like, that helped knock out things. I already knew that I wanted to go to Georgia Tech for engineering.
Sure.
But when I got out, I loved the learning aspect of the engineering. I hated the engineering part of engineering. Like, actually doing this stuff. I did not like that. So I was actually working at a chemical plant with my dad. So, and after being there for about a year, I was talking to him and I was like, Dad, this is just not for me. Like, I don't like this. This is not fun. This is more politics and, like, not the stuff I signed up for. And he said, you should be an electrician. I was like, no, because for me, I had a badge of honor. I've put forth the effort to grow in debt. And so, like, for me, it was like, I'm not going to lower myself down to a tradesman. And, like, that's the perception that
I would say that was
perception. That was, what, about 2006, 2008? That was literally everything was 2003.
Yeah.
It's funny. You watch like these TV shows, like the high school ones. There was a lot of drama and stuff, but they always talk about college. It's where you're going to college. It's not, are you going to college? It's where are you going to college? It's like, just assume that everybody's going to go do something to college.
Kate, I would ask you this. Yeah. So, like, I have kids. Josh and I both have children that are at the age where they'll be graduating the next 2 years.
Sure.
And for me, I have 4 of them. My oldest is a sophomore this year. And I've always said, like, what do you want to do when you grow up?
Yeah.
And it's so easy for them to be like, oh, I just want to run your business, or I want to work for you. And I'm like, no, like, that's easy. That's a cop out. Like,
Right.
I don't want you to not be in the trades.
Right.
But I don't want you just to be in the trades because that's what dad does, or that's what dad's business is.
Right.
How do you have the conversation with the kids? Because I don't want to push my kids into college. Now, I will tell you that my youngest son is some kind of smart, like blows me away how smart he is, because he is 11. If Memphis is watching this, and Memphis would be the one to watch this. Sorry, son. He's 11, and literally my 15-year-old's geometry and algebra, he was doing his homework last year, and it just clicked.
It just clicks, right?
And so, like, bro, like, I don't want you in the attic, but I don't want to tell him I don't want you in the attic. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. Like, I went from, engineering to becoming a service technician, and the whole thing was like, all right, Brandon, like, so a buddy of mine who actually, funny enough, dropped out of high school at 16, and he went and got his GED eventually, but then he actually went to work and was a service technician. He worked at a couple of places, but then he ended up at this one place for a really long time, and we hung out like every night because we were car guys, and at that point, neither one of us had any kids, and so we would hang out in my garage every single night, and I'm thinking to myself, dude, like, you didn't graduate high school, but, like, you have more money than I do when it comes to, like, especially cars and stuff like that. And, like, I'm one of those type of people that just constantly ask questions, hence the podcast. But I was just like, Brandon, how are you doing this? Like, are you doing drugs? Are you selling drugs? Like, what's the thing that you're doing? And he's like, nah, man, I'm too busy to do selling drugs. Like, I'm working out in the field. And I was like, I didn't know this. So it was funny because, like, I had this brand new supercharger kit that came off of one of my Mustangs, and he wanted one for his. And I was like, I had an old Tune style York air conditioning unit from 70s. And it went out on me one summer. And I was like, man, Brandon, could you do this? And, like, I had no idea. We were friends for years, but I had no idea what it would cost, no idea about any of it. I was like, I was afraid that it was gonna be a lot. I was like, man, can you do this on the side? And he was like, nah, that's not how we roll. He said, but I'll talk to Fred and see what he says. So Fred, the owner of the company he worked for, he was like, yeah, like, you can do it, collect some marketing, whatever. Like, back then we had digital, like, cameras, like little tiny, ones.
Not the smartphones that you get out.
And so, like, he's taking pictures of things, like, you're putting in a gas valve. I'm, like, super interested. So anyways, I traded him the supercharger, and then I paid Fred for, like, he said, you got to pay me for my markup, but you don't have to pay for labor side of things, and my license. And I was like, okay, cool. And the equipment. So, like, I'm over there watching Brandon put this thing in and everything, just super fascinated. And then I was like, this is interesting and this is fun. And Brandon's like, oh, this is an install. This sucks. Like, I was like, oh, it gets better than this. Like, this is actually cool.
There's more?
This is cool. And so it was less than 2 weeks later, I put in my notice at the fact that the chemical plant and started working with Brandon. And I got in the van and I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. The technician that I was riding around with, he was like, great, I got to train somebody new. Like, I didn't go to college for air conditioning or tech school or anything. I didn't know anything to do with any of it. And I get over there and we get on a York system that has nothing but black wires. And he's like, great, now we have to trace them all out. And I was like, why don't you just use a schematic? And he was like, you know how to read a schematic? Because he didn't know I went to school for engineering. And I was like, yes. And I read it. The next day he goes into Fred's office. It's like, this guy needs to be in a van. Like, he could do things, all this other stuff. And I was like, but I don't know anything about refrigeration. And so, like, they ended up training me. I ended up becoming the service manager there and the GM, and then started my own business. But I was pushed to college, and I thrived in college. But the trade school is probably where I should have gone and gotten some sort of business degree or something, accounting degree. But that's where I struggle with my children is, like, they are smart enough to go to college and they can make a great career out of something they do in college. but I don't want to push them to college
Sure.
at the same time. It's a long story to get back to
What do you say? Time. Yeah, that was great. Kate, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next year.
Hello, home service professionals. Do you want to maximize your marketing budget? Then you need to be using call tracking from CallRail. Let's say you noticed a spike in new leads this month. To find out what's driving them, you just log into your CallRail dashboard. Is my new Facebook ad outperforming my other ads? Or is paid search knocking it out of the park? Or maybe it's time to retire those newspaper ads. Since CallRail assigns a unique phone number to each of my marketing efforts, I know where my best leads come from and which efforts to scrap. CallRail shows you your most cost-effective marketing channels so you can get back to business. Go to callrail.com/SBMpod and try it for free.
what do you say to the youth about that, like in the situation?
In listening to your story, I think it's really interesting because you had the opportunity to learn it spontaneously.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that, so our team's done a lot of research and understanding how the landscape is in education now with CTE, which is Career and Tech Ed. So essentially, it's like schools are reintegrating what the three of us had in shop class a while ago, you know, back in the 19s. And
you just made it sound really...
I know.
We might as well
That's
have
what my
it.
kids say. That's what my kids say. But it's almost this realization that they've said, hey, in order for students to have workforce development skills and you know, the potential for certifications, they're starting to bring that back so that students, middle school, high school, have the opportunity to learn that stuff before they graduate. So I think it's becoming more formalized in that. And in reading statistics, you know, last year in 2023, there were over 12 million students in the U.S. that had exposure in this type of programming. So there's more federal funding being allocated to that.
Do you think that has anything to do with COVID? And like just
That's-
how that, like,
that's a great
I'm just
question.
curious of like, if you've seen any changes from, I mean, I know we still kind of had some stuff but 2022-ish was kind of like, okay, we're opening the world
We're
back
good.
up here.
Right.
And I just don't know if it had anything to do with it because obviously that was, you know, everyone were needed.
Essential.
Essential.
Yeah.
Yeah, the word was
Essential
not
workers.
coming to my head.
Yeah. What I think is interesting is, so my husband and I have two kids, 11 and 12. So in that,
They're getting to that.
they're getting to that age, right? And you can see one of them very much succeeding hands-on, right? And the other one fits well more with traditional learning. But I think what's interesting is you have Gen Z, you know, and that article came out, 2 months ago that talked about Gen Z being the tool belt generation. Yeah. And that article talked about those young adults who are now in college age, or have, you know, in their mid-20s, they were right in the middle of the pandemic where I saw my parents or friends not have a job anymore because of COVID, you know, and then I think you combine that with college and the rapidly increasing tuition, and just because I can't graduate $150,000 in debt. So I think this group of young adults have been hit from all sides. And I think they're just like, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. And I think COVID sort of, you know, kind of thrust vocational education back to the forefront.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a personal thing. So we have a digital marketing company. So we hire, and when we put up it's all remote.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know, what a lot of people want, but we'll get 400 applicants in 3 days for a job. And
sure.
But I don't like, if they had where their college stuff is or their education, I have to like skip right past. I'm just looking at life experience.
What can you
and
do?
I don't know if that's
Right.
a personal thing or that's just me and Chuck, because I went to, I did a little bit of tech school and then a little bit of online school to get my degree.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, honestly, a lot of it was like, I'm just trying to get the homework done so I can just get a grade. And
Just checking
I'm just
the
like
test.
paying for my piece of paper. It says I went to college and I didn't feel like I didn't even use a lot of this stuff. I didn't learn the skill. I learned so much more with YouTube and all the things after the fact.
Yeah.
Especially today. I mean, God, we have so much access to education.
Right.
And like what is the stat? If you spend like 60 hours either reading books or watching videos of a certain topic, you'll become an expert, or better than 95% of the population at something.
Sorry to cut you off.
No worries. He does it all the time.
On purpose. Yeah. I was going to say.
He does it on purpose.
you,
He did it
yeah.
on accident. So I actually, yes. He doesn't apologize either.
No, I think with the idea that you just said, I just paid for my diploma.
Yeah.
Because it's very transactional, and I think because in the 70s when they started saying everyone should go to college because that's how you're going to be successful. Well, we're almost 2 generations into that mindset, and now we're oversaturated with college degrees, and now it's extremely transactional. It's just,
the phone that I have to pick with that entire situation was the fact that I was forced to pay for an elective. Like, I have to go to tennis. I don't want to go to tennis. Oh, and it costs you $1,200 to go to tennis.
Did you actually take tennis?
No, I didn't take tennis.
Okay. That would have been fun to watch.
Like, there was just like all these courses that were electives that I was like, I don't want to take this elective. Oh, you have to have elective to have a degree. And I'm like, are you going to give it for free? No, it's more debt. You know what I mean?
I think, like you said earlier, Tersh, it's not that you're saying you have to go to the trades or you have to go to college. Because I think there's a balance in between both, and I think people figure that out. And I think you gravitate to what you do, and you know if the investment's going to be worthwhile or not, right?
So how do you get? I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to ask you a question because you asked about the conversation because your kids are, you're like, well, I don't necessarily want to be an ACK, and I feel like a lot of people in the trades probably see that because they realize it's hard. It's not an easy job, but I think there's something to that of the satisfaction of, because I know, like, I'm not a tech, but our techs, like, even though they would kind of complain about being on call, when they went to someone's house and they fixed their problem, they felt like they had a Superman cape on.
Yeah, you get a dopamine drip.
It's a dopamine, like, man, I did that. Like, I fixed. Like, it's just like a proud accomplishment where sometimes if you're in front of a computer, you're just moving to the next thing, and you're moving at such a different speed. You're not really, like, if I help someone on their market, so, like, I'm just moving to the next one. Like, I don't have that time to, like, with that one person who's just like shaking my hand, thank you so much, and just that feel of, like, that personal connection. And I think sometimes with business owners, managers in the trades, we're like trying to push, well, don't just do what but I also think sometimes we almost look at our career like it's not, like, doctors, like you
right.
Just the way we grew up,
we don't put it on pedestal.
Hollywood and all that, like, oh, doctors and lawyers and engineers, like, oh, that's amazing. Oh, you're a plumber? Yeah, it's just like that subconscious thing that's been ingrained from such a long time ago. But I think when you, like, because there's so many opportunities. Women in HVAC is an awesome event to see, like, the whole, that and AHR, the whole industry. Just because it's, you're in plumbing and HVAC, you're in the trades, it doesn't mean you have to be in an attic. There's so many ways to support the trades. Sports the trades with Explore the Trades or coaching or marketing or whatever it is. I think there's a lot of opportunities for people that maybe don't help the people in the trades.
So, like I was asking earlier with the contractors, how do they put their money where their mouth's at? Like, get with Explore.
How do they get involved?
So I think there's a couple different ways. So because we are a nonprofit, obviously our work is dependent upon fundraised dollars. So when we receive those fundraised dollars, we put that back into tangible classroom kits that schools can request all over the country. So as it stands, we have Explore the Trades materials in 15% of public school districts in the country, which is just over 2,000 districts.
Wow.
So we want to continue to pump out those materials. So that's one way. But then again, in your community, if there's a way that you can partner with a school, like, be that resource for them, because I think what's happening at the schools, they're starting to figure out that not everybody's meant for college. But if you're a contractor, position yourself as the expert so that if they need help putting together a trades program, they can call you. And they're going to remember you, and you are a huge asset.
That's such a great recruiting
program.
Thank you to Company Cam for supporting today's episode.
These guys are changing the game for contractors with their smart photo app.
Keep your projects documented and streamline your team's communication with even your most complicated jobs.
Try it for free for 14 days and get 25% off of your first 2 months at companycam.com/SBM.
Tersh, I want to talk about something that's a hot topic in the digital marketing space: missed calls. You were telling me the other day that you have a unique way of making sure 100% of your calls are answered. What the heck are you doing?
It's actually really cool. So, we always talk about AI and automation. Well, now I don't have to worry about missed calls anymore because we use Avoca.ai, and it's an AI voice agent. And every time a phone call comes in and say one of our CSRs are busy or even after hours, we've actually completely done away with after hours call center. Avoca picks up the phone and it announces that it's an AI agent. Her name's actually Sarah, and she's really cool. And it's great because every time you get a conversation going, and that entire conversation is transcribed and gets sent to Slack, text message, or onto their dashboard. And then if some of the CRMs that you use that we're using out there, actually, you can book the call through the CRM as well. So that's a really cool thing too. So, I mean, honestly, if anybody hasn't checked this out already, www.avoca.ai.
So guys, if these problems are yours and you want to fix them, head over to www.avoca.ai and discover how they're helping service businesses like yours maximize every lead that you get.
In my community, so the Memphis's and all, actually, I think all my kids went through Miss Davis's class. Her husband owns Davis Heating and Air. And so they see that. They see my trucks roll through the car line pickup. And then we have another family that's got kids that are about the same age, and they have a very successful HVAC company in our small town.
Yeah.
Now we service large area around it, but they just happen that there's like 4 rather successful HVAC companies in the small town we physically live in.
Right.
And so like our school program, they're like, I don't want to offend you by asking Davis or the other company or this company. I was like, you wouldn't offend me at all. And we're also friends. So like, I can go stand next to Davis because funny enough, Ivy, my oldest son, and his son actually play on the baseball team together too.
Right.
So like we literally sit in the bleachers next to you. We're not enemies with each other.
Well, and it's not like the labor problem is going to go away.
Exactly.
Right. So I think it's just for the good of the trade. Right.
And it's funny because like you'll see like even on the sponsorship thing, they'll reach out to small businesses because small businesses are what help, booster programs and stuff. And then you'd see Service Emperor and Davis Heating and Cooling or whatever the name of it is. But and we're like right there at the top level sponsors because we feel like if you ever need our support, you reach out to us. If you ever want to work, if you ever need help in the HVAC world when it comes to the Career Academy side of things, reach out to us because so where we live and the school program that I support is actually an hour outside of our service area. So I'm not there to harvest the children for me,
What a phrase.
I'm there to harvest them for someone else.
That sounds like a horror movie.
But for real, though, I think that the biggest thing for me is sure, being self-serving is one thing, but just making the world better by introducing more trades.
And that's your responsibility.
Yes,
I think it's the industry's responsibility to do that because we haven't done a good job collectively doing
it
that.
turns into such a competition. And I get the competition side of things, but then it turns into secret,
right.
Oh, I'm not telling you how I got these, all these young individuals over here to join the trades. It's transitioning. We've been watching it transitioning with the podcast.
Well, we just talked to, and he's actually here. He's a Nexstar member, Ryan Matthews, almost a week ago from today. And he had one guy with experience who's a little older that ended up leaving him, and he talked about it on the episode, but he hired a 19 and a 20-year-old.
Yep. And they're killing it.
But he's taking the time to invest in them.
Right.
And it's not just throwing them to the wolves and figure it out. He's investing in the time and the effort and the energy. But he's also with an organization that teaches, and he can be around. Some of these companies at Nexstar they're walking around are 50 million, 100. They got training centers and a whole platform for that stuff. And I think that's one of the best things. The last HVAC company I worked for, and I know you've heard this story, but the best hire we did, and this was kind of like the epiphany. He's 42 at the time. He was a college theater director at UW Milwaukee.
Oh.
And so he set up sets. So,
Sure.
I mean, not handy, but handy. And he was looking for a job. His 5-year contract was over. And so we hired him as like an apprentice and taught him. We use Interplay Learning Interplay Learning as far as like the educational piece. And because his customer service was like literally his reviews were like books. He'd spend 2 hours with the customer. He'd know everything about them, their dogs, their pet, like just the whole story. And once he was to the point where he had the technical proficiency, would marry that with the sales. I mean, he crushed it. Like everybody loved him. They didn't mind spending $20,000 with Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy was great.
Right.
You know, and it was just like an epiphany.
Just thinking outside the box whenever you're good at
Just a
hiring
different,
and not being,
absolutely.
Because you've sat in those interviews, these guys that come in have 20 years of experience, and every 6 months they're at a different heat and air conditioning company, and they're gruff, and they show up in a dirty T-shirt. I mean, just that's just the way. Well, there's such a need for them that they'll just always get a job.
Yep.
You know, and I think with that next generation, it is change. Like you have to.
Yeah.
How you treat them is a little different. Like a Gen X versus a millennial versus the Gen Z. It's different. How you have to talk to them,
right?
And the different benefits and the things that they look forward to. But
so, Kate, how do people get in touch with you or the Explore the Trades?
So online is the easiest, right? ExploreTheTrades.org. All the social channels and our contact information is on the website. So I would say that's the easiest thing to do. And one point that I forgot, with all of the materials that we have out for the classroom, we also have contractors use them as part of their recruiting effort. So if they're going to a home and garden show, they're going to a high school, you know, and it's like, well, we don't have time to design something. Do you have anything? And it's kind of nice if they request it, we send it to them and they come again as the expert to the school.
Is that
say, here you go.
Yeah,
is that something that
That's
you
cool.
help prepare? Like, you know, if I'm a contractor, I'm like, I hear this episode and I want to do something, but I don't know how to have that conversation with someone at a school or a counselor or whoever the contact is. Is that something that you guys can help coach and train them? And
yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting that I think we have it in our minds, and because the schools have made it hard to get to the right people. You know what I'm saying? Like with the college fair and career fair, and we're happy. Like if whatever market you're in, give us a call and we'll see if we have someone in that community, and we'd be more than happy to have a warm handoff if there's interest in the trades. And I think the point is, if you can get to the career counselor or if there's a tech ed teacher on staff, that's who you have to call. Just go right to the people who are in front of the kids. And
so get a profile on LinkedIn. Because you're probably not going to find any of that on Facebook.
Right.
Go on LinkedIn.
Right.
LinkedIn's probably a great resource for that type of stuff too.
It is. And you'll find a lot of the educators in that network. And you know, with the resources that we have, they've always been targeted to high school students, right? To say, okay, here's your career path in plumbing or whatever the trade is, and your wages from apprentice, and then showcase the leadership opportunities all the way through small business ownership. And this year, we actually just finished a set of posters just like that, but in Spanish.
Oh, cool.
Because we know that there's an ever-growing
absolutely.
population of Hispanic students in the country. So we want to make sure that those students and their families have the resources that they need. And then we're almost done with, I'm really excited about this, we're almost done with kids' illustrations, like a cutaway of a home with plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. So that they can see, and it has language that's appropriate for elementary readers, so that, you know, here's a light switch, and here's what that
what's
does.
connected? What's connected to the thing that I play with all the time, and I try to piss off mom and dad?
I know. And now, like in the back of my mind, I thought, oh, what if that inspires someone to take apart their light switch?
Might be a little disclaimer on that little illustration.
Please don't do this experiment. But
Please call your local electrician.
right, but you realize the ideas are set so early.
Yeah.
So if the technicians come in, because I know that there's service companies everywhere that have had kids ask them, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Oh
What
yeah,
are you
right next
doing?"
to you, right next to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, here's a coloring book. Here's some crayons.
Like show them, okay, here's why we're working on the hot water heater. That's why you get more water. You know, visually showing them how to do that.
What's the website?
ExploreTheTrades.org.
ExploreTrades.org.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Kate, it's been great hanging out with you.
Thanks for
and
having
seeing
me
you.
again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. If anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Kate and her team. And you can feel free to reach out to us, ServiceBusinessMastery.com, and then ExploreTheTrades.org. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful and safe week until we talk to you next time. We'll see you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit ServiceBusinessMastery.com to learn more.